Last fall, the organization that represents all of Ontario's 24 colleges reported a growing need for mental health support. Earlier this month, the association representing high school students across the province put forward a so-called student platform, hoping politicians will put better mental health and suicide prevention resources in public schools on the political agenda. Joining us now on that and to consider what's prompting such need, Dasha Metropolitansky. She is president of the Ontario Student Trustees Association and a grade 12 student in Oakville. Louisa Aquino, the founder of Peace of Mind 204, a youth-led nonprofit that focuses on mental health awareness, and a first-year student at the University of Toronto in Scarborough. And Dr. Andrea Levinson is here. She's a psychiatrist and chief health and wellness center at the University of Toronto, and we're delighted to welcome the three of you to our studio here tonight for a very timely and important conversation. Dash, I want to start by just putting up some of the highlights from the Ontario Student Trustees Association mental health plan that you unveiled not too long ago. You believe the Ontario government should mandate that all Ontario guidance counselors complete suicide intervention training, provide funding for mental health training programs for students, legally enshrine the right of students to create a well-being club or committee, increase per-pupil funding of guidance counselors, and mandate and fund breakfast programs for all schools. Why did you feel a need to create this platform?
So for us, we hear from students, as students, from our peers all the time that our education system is great, we're learning, but there's obviously room for improvement. We put out a survey because we just wanted to see what specifically the concerns would be, and what we heard back from our peers, some of the results were actually quite shocking, particularly about mental health. We heard some of our peers saying, that 2 out of 3 of our peers felt that the mental health resources at their school were inaccessible. Almost 75% thought that they were ineffective. And at that point, it was clear to us that there was a concern and we needed to develop some form of recommendations.
Let's just understand your position in this. You're the head of the Students Association, which basically makes you're kind of like Ontario Student Premier, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. So and Kayvon, your predecessor, was here in the studio last year and we talked to him. And basically, it's your job to represent the interests of students to the decision makers at Queen's Park, for example.
Yeah.
Do you think they're listening?
I think it's our job to make them listen. I think we're conscious of the fact that of the students that we represent, only the 18-year-olds are able to vote. But at that point, they're either in their final year of high school or they're going to leave the system. So we need to make sure that the students who aren't able to vote but are still the next generation of citizens have a voice right now.
Now, when I was your age, the focus was very much on accessibility and affordability of post-secondary, right? We were all about to graduate. We had grade 13 then. We were about to graduate. We wanted to make sure college or university was affordable. Your focus is on mental health. It's a completely different thing. How come?
It's still on the minds of students, but I think students are also thinking these times are more stressful now for us as well. There's more uncertainty in graduation and in our life after school, so their focus is beyond just where am I going next.
Gotcha. Louisa, let's get you into this conversation. You're at university right now at U of T, as we suggested earlier, but a few years ago you started a group called Peace of Mind 204. What is that?
Peace of Mind 204 is a nonprofit that I started when I was 15 years old. It happened after a series of events, so I actually lost one of my friends to suicide in June 2015. A month before that, there was 2 students from a school 30 minutes away from mine that had died by suicide around 3 days apart. And the day after my best friend had lost his life, there was a girl from a school 10 minutes away from mine that had ended her life the next day. And it became something that hurt a lot of students within our community, within our city, and within our province because they were all high school students, and it was during exam season, May, June.
Do you think that the exams had something to do with the suicides?
I don't think it was a direct reason, but I think that it's a time where everyone's more stressed out and it's a very stressful environment to be in when you're in school and when you're at home. And so I think that when the 4 suicides had happened, I decided that I wanted to do something about it because for the first week after he had passed away, I found myself trying to find answers to the questions that I would never find. And so I realized that I need to create resolutions so that people never have to go through what I went through and what other people went through. And so I created this nonprofit called Peace of Mind 204, and it's a nonprofit youth organization that strives to create awareness and conversation surrounding mental health.
And why is it called Peace of Mind 204?
Because I think when you struggle with your mental health or mental illness, you struggle to find peace of mind, and that's something that we want to spread across the province, especially within high schools, is that you can have peace of mind.
And what's the 204 related to?
That's Manitoba's area code.
That's Manitoba's area code, and you're from Winnipeg?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, very good. That is a shocking number of suicides that you have been exposed to.
Yeah.
How well does everybody kind of cope with what seems to be a shockingly high number of tragedies?
I think that it was a very hard time for a lot of students because it didn't hit just one school, it hit 3 different schools around the same time. And in terms of coping, there was a lot of schools that were starting to do, I guess, interventions about suicide and mental health, but at the same time it was too late, I guess you could say, because they waited till something had happened. And I think that that's what we were trying to avoid, is that we don't want to wait until you can't bring someone back to life. And I think that's what we're trying to prove. We're trying to prove that point, that mental health is something that needs to be addressed right now, and we can't wait for another suicide to happen or another death to happen. And I think that the best way to go about that is having a conversation about it.
Can you tell us what you think about these efforts?
I think they're tremendous. I think that the power is in hearing youth deliver and lead the way. We need to really have youth engagement in all these initiatives moving forward. Certainly, speaking to the issue of suicide, we know that in the transitional youth cohort between the ages of 15 and 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death. And I hear the impatience and I hear the need to do more than we're doing today. I think a lot is underway. I think there are a lot of initiatives, but we need more, and we need the speed of action to reflect the clinical need. These are our future population. Mm-hmm. This is where it's at. And our youth are becoming very impatient around the need for access, early intervention. We know early intervention speaks. If you get access to an ability to talk, to reach out, to get the connection you need, a focus on overall mental health and well-being, both at the secondary school level and the post-secondary, we will create a better future.
Can I just try to understand this better? Because I know when I was their age, suicide was nothing that anybody in my cohort thought about. It just wasn't. And now I hear Louise's experience where, how old are you now?
18.
You're 18, and you know 4 kids who've killed themselves.
More than 4, yeah.
More than 4. Now this is shocking. What's going on now that clearly wasn't going on 40 years ago when I was their age?
Yeah. Well, it speaks to stigma being certainly very diminished, which is a really good thing. Mental health awareness on the rise, the ability to come out and speak. But as Louisa points out, we need to get ahead of the game, because prevention, identifying, assisting, and referring, not asking for youth, both in the secondary world and the post-secondary world, to be clinicians, to diagnose, to deliver the interventions, but for awareness across staff, faculty, administrators, so that the school communities are able to actually provide the assistance and get the person to the correct service they need.
Louisa, one of the things I've heard you say before is that it's okay not to be okay. What does that mean?
I think essentially it means that people are going to struggle in their lives. People are going to struggle with their health. They're going to be stressed out. And I think that that's okay, but it's not okay to just let it be and let it happen and control your life, because essentially you are in control of what happens in your life. And I think that in terms of it's okay to not be okay, it means that you have to reach out for help, and you have to be willing to get help, and you have to want to get help, because there is help out there, and it is possible to recover and to be a positive and happy person, but it does take a lot for a lot of people.
Well, you say help is out there, but then I look at Dasha's wish list, and it suggests to me that there's not as much help out there as you need. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I think we're getting contradictory messages as students. We're being told well-being is important, take care of yourself, you need to care. But at the same time, we're told you need to get the highest marks, you need to have a really good average, you need to graduate. And to some extent, they're mutually exclusive. You can't have both. The point at which there are students, grade 12 students in my class, who are falling asleep in class, and they come to class sleep deprived, but we accept it. We don't think about it as maybe they're actually stressed and they can't sleep, or they aren't able to get enough sleep. It seems that there are different messages being sent to students today, for sure.
Do you feel particularly stressed out about your academic situation now, or your future in post-secondary, which I presume you intend to pursue?
I think there's a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty because I think that the future is changing a lot, and I think that the jobs that are available to young people are changing significantly. The same jobs that are available to us today are not the same ones that were available to our peers 10 years ago, 15 years ago. There's a lot more uncertainty, I think.
Louisa, you put together something called the Youth Against Mental Illness Stigma Summit. What was that about?
It's basically a place where young people, essentially just high school students, come together and we talk about our experiences and our journeys to do with mental health and mental illness. And so we have so far had 4 of these events, and basically we have these people share their stories, and one of them was the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had of all time. I remember being so sleep deprived, and I was sitting backstage, and this girl had come up, she was in grade 10, and she went up and she talked about her story, and she talked about how she used to self-harm, she was suicidal, and eventually she found help and she turned her life around. Talking about all the good things that she did for herself and for other people when she found that help. And then she explained that she got into a relationship that was pretty unhealthy, and she ended up being pregnant with twins in grade 10. And she ended off by saying, "I'm not telling you this because I want sympathy or because I want your pity. It's simply because I know that in this room of 700 people, there's somebody else who has gone through the thing that I've gone through or something similar. And I want them to know that they are not alone and that there is ways to get help, and you need to work on being a better person for yourself and for the people around you."
What kind of feedback did you get to your holding those summits?
There's been people that have come to me and said, "This saved my life," or there's people that said, "Wow, like, I haven't self-harmed since your last event," or "I've started this club at my school," or "I've reached out to help," or "been able to help my friend going through suicidal tendencies." And it's something that I don't know how to put it into words. It's just been an amazing time so far.
I think you just did put it into words. Go ahead.
Speaks to the whole notion of accessing help does take a whole community. We know that youth turn to their peers more readily than they do to health professionals. We know that sometimes the youth who's actually struggling with the mental health concern needs some guidance, needs a helping hand in terms of accessing that help.
You call them summits. You want, according to your platform, well-being clubs or committees. What would they be like?
So they vary at every single school, or the schools that have them. We found that almost half of schools don't have them, even though 75% of students think that they ought to have one. But essentially, they're just a space where you can de-stress at school. So it could be they host a meditation session or yoga events, or they bring in therapy dogs, snacks, books, kids just talking to each other about how their day has been, relaxing music. It could be anything. It's just a safe, comfortable space at school.
Does that kind of thing work?
Absolutely. Certainly at the post-secondary level and at U of T, we have had immense success with grassroots organizations, clubs. We actually had a recent initiative which was championing people on campus who were providing positive mental health messaging, be it in catering, be it in a faculty, be it a lecturer, be it a staff person, be it a student. So it really crosses, the whole organization.
I want to talk about one of the best and worst inventions ever, social media. You two are both on, I presume, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all the other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can you tell me, Dasha, whether you think this contributes to positive or more negative mental health?
I think it gives students more opportunities to connect with their peers who may not be in the same immediate school as them. But at the same time, I think there's a downside, because I think people on their social media platforms put forward the best versions of themselves and see everybody else putting forward the best version of themselves, and to be constantly surrounded by perfection, and to constantly strive towards perfection, something that's impossible for everyone to attain at all points of their life, is a really high and burdensome thing for students to think about constantly. So I think it does lead to less fulfillment in some ways.
That is an interesting way to look at it. It's not just a matter of uploading some nice thing that you happened to attend the other day. In some respects, you are portraying to your peers how wonderful your life is. And do you hear feedback from others who say, boy, I feel like I just don't measure up to the great lives I see others leading on social media?
I do get that a lot from people telling me, like, wow, Louisa, your life seems so great, or blah, blah, blah. And I am someone that does that too. I do show people I do put forward my best foot because that's essentially what social media was made for. But I also do try and mix it up a bit and let people know that there are times where I do struggle. And I think that's something that as a society we need to work on, because like Dasha just said, we are kind of putting this face on for the rest of the world to see that we are always happy 100% of the time. So when someone else isn't feeling 100%, it makes you feel different from everyone else and secluded and isolated. And I think that's something that really does need to change within society and within our generation.
The difficulty is, of course, no one's going to upload a picture of them feeling blue. It's all going to be, joyous things.
I think it's getting better though. Like I think there's a trend towards role models and like celebrities. They, for example, like models will post photos of themselves at different angles saying, look, like I purposefully pose in a way that makes myself look good, but I also sometimes don't have the perfect body image, or I have struggled with body image issues. I have had an eating disorder in the past, whatever it might be. So I think there has been more of a trend towards I do put forward the best version of myself, but I also want my fans or people who might be inspired by me to know I'm not perfect all the time.
What's your view on whether social media contribute or detract from good mental health?
I think it's mixed, as both my colleagues have stated. I think it's there's a lot of benefit to social media providing excellent information, providing support that can be far-reaching. There's a psychoeducational component to social media. But yes, if it totally replaces real-life connections, and I think we struggle with being present, being reflective, being able to shut off. Maybe we're all going through withdrawal because our phones aren't here right now. Yes, so I think it's a more complicated answer. It's not simplistic one or the other.
No, I get that, but do you think it encourages young people to be competitive with each other in as much as when they see these wonderfully happy, I'm seeing heads nodding over here on the other side of the set already. Yeah, it encourages the competition.
Yeah, there's an outward-looking focus. There's a sense that everyone else is succeeding, and definitely we're sort of conditioned to portray that positive message, which really isn't life in reality. Yeah.
Dasha, I want to pick up on another one of your recommendations, which is for more guidance counselors and more mental health training for them.
Yeah.
If you or one of your peers walks into a guidance counselor's office today, what's likely going to be the subject of the advice they get?
So the first thing to note here is it varies, and I can't speak for what every single student will experience, which to some extent is like a good thing, but it's also problematic because it means the quality of the advice and support that students are receiving isn't standardized. But I'd say for many students, when you walk into your guidance counselor's office, you'll see a lot of handouts and posters that relate to applying to a post-secondary pathway, whether it's university or college, or entering the job market. You'll see very few resources in a lot of guidance counselors' offices about mental health or well-being. And I think a lot of students perceive their counselor as there for a course change or a class cancellation or as help for applying to college or university, less as somebody who's there if they have a mental health challenge.
And your view is that's not adequate guidance going forward?
That's absolutely not adequate.
Okay, that's the high school situation. How about you're on a post-secondary campus now at U of T. Do you see, first of all, do they have guidance counselors at, in post-secondary in the way they do in high school?
Honestly, if we do, I haven't used them. And I think that's something that I do want to work towards, is how mental health and mental illness is being addressed on campus, because as much as we do have these clubs that are doing great things, they're only doing so much and they're not really putting forward resources for other students. And when they do have, let's say, booths in the hallways, no one really acknowledges them. So I think that in terms of conversation, there's a lot to be done and a lot more conversation that needs to be happening. And I think that's something that I want to be able to tackle on eventually.
There's a very good New York Times columnist by the name of Ross Douthat who wrote the following back in October. Let me read this excerpt, and then, Andrea, I'll get you to comment on this. This seems to me to be the signal failing of modern education, visible among my own peers now entering the time of life when suffering is more the weather than a lightning strike, but especially among the generation younger than us. We have education for success, but no education for suffering. Do you think students need to be educated for not just success, but for suffering?
So suffering is a descriptor that could have many meanings. I think it taps into the notion of facing some, hopefully, minor adversity early on, maybe even in elementary school, middle and high, that will equip you with the resilience, the grit, the ability to overcome things when you enter the post-secondary and lifelong journey. Suffering, though, is also, one wouldn't want to undermine the notion that suffering is often an expression of distress and can be an expression of illness and needs to be addressed in that case professionally. So again, it's a more nuanced ability to look at the notion of suffering.
And I wonder, Dasha, whether young, you're about to go away to, you were telling me before we went on the air. You want me to say it out loud or no?
It's up to you.
You're thinking of going to Harvard next year.
Possibly.
From Oakville, Ontario to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Different country, different, obviously, entirely different chapter of your life. Do you feel that there need to be sort of mental health / resiliency / well-being resources for you if you were to go there?
100%. Like, I think it should be in elementary school, I think it should be in high school, and I think it should be in university or college, wherever the student chooses to go, because we're seeing that, the need to be mentally well starts at a very young age, and if it's not addressed at a young age, it just kind of gets worse. But students caring about their own well-being as much as they care about their academic success needs to start as early on as possible.
So you've put this platform out there. We're having an election in Ontario in 6 months.
Yep.
You gonna be old enough to vote, incidentally?
I will be.
You will be?
Yep.
So you will vote. Do you know who you're gonna vote for?
I don't know yet, but it'll depend on if they listen to our recommendations and how they act upon them.
So
for sure.
you will be looking for the parties to respond positively to your platform.
Absolutely.
How about you? You can vote now, right?
I can.
And you made any decisions?
No.
Not yet?
No.
What are you looking for?
A lot of mental health resources as well, similar to Dasha.
Huh. Okay. You want to tell us who you're going to vote for? No, maybe not. All right. I want to thank all three of you for coming in tonight and helping us out with this. This is obviously a very timely subject. And how about these two, eh? Kudos to them for getting it done.
Absolutely. Bravo.
Yeah, well done. Let's say thank you to Dasha Metropolitansky. She is the president of the OSTA. She's a grade 12 student in Oakville, Ontario right now. Louisa Aquino. She is the founder of Peace of Mind 204. That's the area code in Winnipeg. We remember that. She's a first-year student at the University of Toronto in Scarborough. And Andrea Levinson is here, psychiatrist and chief, Health and Wellness Center, University of Toronto. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.